No Corey Dillon, not Corey Dillon, Corey Davis. Gosh, I already screwed up. 5 seconds in, I already screwed up. Corey Dillon, that's way back. I told you I was old, Maddie. No Corey Davis, no Jonnu Smith, but Julio Jones is in the house for the Tennessee Titans, and in the house with me, I got Maddie Daddy, I got Hollywood in the house, Daryl. Third and Short getting set up in the back, but he's going to be in here in just a minute. And we are here to talk about the Tennessee Titans on the DLF YouTube channel. It's the team preview series. We're going through every single team. We'll be right back to talk about all of them. What is up, everybody? Hopefully anybody that's here in the comments, feel free. If you have any Tennessee Titans questions, let's go ahead and get those in. We are going to be talking about anything and everything Tennessee Titans from a dynasty perspective. I know it's Scott Fish Day, and we're not talking about best ball today or Scott Fish. We're talking about the Tennessee Titans dynasty, what we think about them in 2021 and beyond. We're going to talk about all of the changes they made here in the offseason. And to do that, what we've been doing is inviting on smart football people like those that you see around me right now. And yes, Hollywood, I even include you in that. And
I was about to say, I don't know how smart I am, so come on now.
If you have any questions for them, look, make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you comment. That always helps us and lets us know. If you're in the house, tell us that. We're going to invite in Short here as well. Awesome. Everything seems like it's good. But let's start with our guest, Maddie Daddy. Over here to my left. Let's start with you. Tell everybody where they can find you. If you're not already following this guy, you need to. Let them know where they can get everything, Maddie Daddy.
Oh, it is the Maddie Daddy, all gas, no brakes, part of the Fantasy Football Affair podcast, YouTube, you name it, we got it, baby. I want to give it a shout out to my Tim. I'm starting like you. Our team, our social media, everybody and anybody, we bring it every day of the season, all day, every day. Dude, Cal, thanks for having me. Just freaking pumped to be here and talking about those Titans. Not Javon Curse, Derrick Henry.
There will be probably no more Corey Dillon mentions, I'm going to guess, here. But, the man down below, I've done a ton of shows with this guy. He's always a blast, bringing the energy, but lots to live up to with Maddie Daddy up there, Hollywood. How are you?
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed with Maddie Daddy. He done got me fired up right out the gate here, man. I love it. You can find me at Hollywood Titan on Twitter. You can find me at the IDP Nation podcast, Davey IDP Grind podcast, over at the IDP Guys. I'm anywhere, everywhere, Facebook, Reddit, all those good things. You can find me. Follow my writing, my podcast. I look forward to this.
I had a lot of fun on the podcast with Maddie that I did with you and Daryl. The one that we did was a blast. I don't know if that YouTube video is available, but it's maybe one of the funniest YouTube videos that you could find. So make sure you go find that. And then Short, pumped to have you in the house here too. I know when we did our show a couple of months ago, it was one of the first podcasts that you had done. So glad to see you sticking with it. Short, you there?
I think he's froze.
Yeah, he might be froze.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Nope.
I think that was. Can you hear me? That was my first one that I had.
Yeah, you might be on a little bit of a delay right there. But anyway, we're going to keep on trucking through. I'm pumped that you guys are here.
That was the first one I had. Thanks for having me again.
Sorry, I'm gonna pull Short back a little bit and talk to him a little bit in the private chat. We're gonna get that all under control. We know it takes a little longer for the internet to get to Tennessee, but that's okay.
Hey, now easy.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. So let's talk about right off the bat the losses of Corey Davis, the loss of Jonnu Smith. Julio comes in and fills a pretty big void there. Maddie, let's start with you. What do you think about this new look of the offense led by now no longer Arthur Smith, but the tight end coach getting promoted and Todd Downing? What do you think?
Man, I'm kind of hyped about this because this might see this offense kind of evolve a little bit where you saw Baltimore in Tennessee in the playoffs last year, this low-scoring game where the Titans just couldn't put up enough points. So this maybe gives the opportunity for a little bit more uptake. You saw what Dowling did with Carr back in Oakland back in the day. So this just gives that – makes maybe – Tannehill was QB8, so this maybe just gives him a little bit more value from the passing standpoint. And you got to be excited to see what's going to happen with Darrington Evans, who shout out to him for everything he's done the last couple days in the fantasy community. Absolutely. But, yeah, you got to be excited if you're a Titans fan because you've seen how they lean on Derrick Henry. Stud. But you add Julio. You add this maybe more pass looks. You got to be excited for Tennessee.
So Daryl, let's talk about the addition of Julio himself, and tell me, like, okay, how does he change this offense? What does he compare as far as what you got out of Corey Davis like last year? I mean, obviously he's a far better receiver, right? It's just how many years do you think you have left of him being elite like that?
Yeah, I mean, I got to back up for a second because the whole offseason, you know, with no Corey Davis, no Jonnu, they're going to different teams, Jets, Patriots, and you know, listen to a lot of local radio, a lot of my Titan friends. They're kind of freaking out about this shit. What are we going to do? They're going to double cover AJ. You know, they're going to stack the box against Henry. And for a while, you know, I was a little concerned because you can't go into the season with Josh Reynolds. No disrespect, but he's not a number 2. You can't go in there with him. So it was all about being patient. John Robinson and Mike Vrabel, I think, hit a home run with Julio. I think it shows they're all in with this team. They know the window, quote unquote. They know this window that we're in. For Julio, I love it. I think he's an upgrade over Corey Davis, a little bit older. I know there's some injury concerns there, but I think talent-wise, what he's on the field, he's head and shoulders above that. And I think he's going to eat up a lot of the void left by Jonnu Smith. Sorry, my brain almost went blank. As far as how many years he has left, you know, I'm not going to be greedy here. I'm going to be honest. I think he's got 2 years at best, and I think that's what the Titans kind of signed up for. You know, let's keep him healthy. We got a 2-year, 3-year window here maybe, and I think that's what they're shooting for. And he's going to open up a lot of things for AJ. Him and AJ are going to open up a shit ton of stuff for King Henry. And just, I know that's not part of the question, but Matt Daddy said it. Darrington Evans, man, what he's come out and done the last couple of days, I love him. And if he's listening, I'm buying a jersey. I want him to sign this thing. I'm going to find a way to make this happen. And essentially, he's a extra draft pick this year because he missed basically all of last year. So sorry to dominate the conversation, but
no, I love it.
Yeah. Everybody's on here to hear from you guys, no doubt, because we want to hear about these Titans. And you know, but my biggest question, I guess, going into the season, like if I have to strip all of it away, obviously we're going to talk about the passing game and all that, but the biggest topic of conversation has got to be around Derrick Henry because he's still going pretty high in Dynasty League drafts. If you look at startups, he is still going as the RB9, which is like 15th off the board in the 1 QB leagues. That's pretty high for a 27-year-old running back with as much carries as he has under his belt. So,
Calvin, I don't like to hear this doubt in your voice. Oh my God.
Well, talk to me. Tell me what, like, are you like from a dynasty perspective? Is he somebody like at that ADP you're all in on?
I am. I'm still taking him. I mean, he's a 2-time rushing champ. Look what he did. Probably one of the quietest 2,000-yard seasons you've ever seen in your life. Ever. If that was anybody else from a major market, he's MVP all day long. But because he's in Tennessee with Nashville, smaller market, no love at all. A.J. Brown's going to keep it open. Now they got Julio out there. That's just an added weapon that's going to keep – I don't think you're going to see a lot of change. And going from Arthur Smith to Brian Downing, I think that's a good thing too. Like Matt Daddy said, I think we're going to see a different take, but I think you're going to see more of the same. It's just going to be a little different view with how they run with stuff.
Well, and don't you think with adding Julio Jones, man, that's such a big piece.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
just
huge
gonna
piece.
open up the run game that much more.
Oh yeah,
Like to me, that's just an ace in the hole right there. And I think
so,
if
yeah.
anything, it's going to make. I think Derrick Henry's going to be just as good or maybe better. The one I would be worried about is maybe AJ Brown a little bit, just because of what he did last year. But he was a lone wolf, so you can go the other route. Well, maybe he's going to get freed up a little bit more. I just think overall this offense is coming full circle, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's where I'm at. As I said earlier, I think Julio's a definite upgrade over Corey Davis, despite the injuries concerns, which I know they're there. But, keep him on the field. It's not even close. I think he's going to eat up a lot of some of the Jonnu Smith targets that was left over. And then, Ferkser, a lot of people, if you're into fantasy, Ferkser, he has been shooting up the boards, man. And I like it. If he can just be himself, Julio and AJ and Henry, they'll take care of the rest. He just needs to do what he can do, and that'll be good enough.
So let's talk then. You mentioned AJ Brown, and I do want to come back a little bit and talk about the running backs. There's a couple questions about Darrington Evans in there, but you mentioned Julio, and I've seen a couple. Or you mentioned AJ Brown, and I've seen a couple questions coming in. Fantasy Phoenix having a tough time being objective, is wildly in love with AJ Brown, like a lot of people are. Do you think his top 5 dynasty wide receiver status is justified? It sounds like, Maddie, you are maybe in the camp of you're not sure a top 5 dynasty type ADP is justified for him. Am I right?
I just don't see the volume directed at him enough. I'm not saying he's not an elite receiver. He's proven that. Right. But when you're playing a game with, as long as Derrick Henry's in town and Julio's there, and you have one of the best play action quarterbacks in the NFL that can just pop it to Ferkser anytime. To me, it's hard to say he's going to finish, a wide receiver 1. High wide receiver 2, absolutely. When you have a Tyreek Hill, you have Justin Jefferson, it leaves a lot more to the imagination. That's all I'm saying.
Daryl, on the latest ADP information here in June from DynastyLeagueFootball.com, AJ Brown is going number 2 overall in Dynasty drafts. Ooh. That is the 8th pick on average ADP. Is that too rich for you?
I mean, I like it. I love the love but I'm kind of with Matt Daddy. In fantasy, you got to be realistic. I think that's a little too high. I do think he's a wide receiver 1. And when I think wide receiver or tier 1 tiers, I'm thinking roughly the top 14. I think he's in that top 14, but he's not top 5. I mean, you tell me he's 10 to 15, I'll take that shit all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then let me ask, in short, jump in here. How do you feel? AJ Brown, is he a top 5 dynasty wide receiver for you?
I gotta say, love the shirt short Wu-Tang baby.
For me personally, I don't think much is going to change for. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, me, not much is going to change for AJ Brown. I know everybody's saying, "Oh wow, Julio's there now," but I think we discounted a lot of what Corey Davis did last year. I think he was, he got more targets than people realized, and he was more efficient than people realized. I don't think Julio is going to do much more than that. He's getting older. He's on a new team. I really don't see him, pushing too much for targets personally. I know Julio is an elite receiver, but AJ Brown's going to get the majority of the targets. He's going to get everything he got last year and more maybe. And for me, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth the buy.
I'm looking at I'm looking over some of AJ Brown's stats here. I missed a couple of games early in the season, but still on only 106 targets, he had 70 catches for over 1,000 yards. I mean, that's a level of efficiency that that not a lot of wide receivers are capable of doing. And so, like from that perspective, if he can get 20 extra targets this year, that does get you pretty excited, right? I mean, like. On this team, if you're going to say there's somebody that could make that next leap into being that elite guy, it's got to be him, right?
I mean, he's a ridiculous talent. There's no questioning that. So from a dynasty standpoint, there's not many that are better than him.
Mhm.
Like I said, I just worry a little bit about the reps. But like we said, Janu's gone. Julio hasn't stayed on the field. So there is an opportunity here for A.J. Brown to go bonkers.
Right.
What about the let's go with the rest of the options in the passing game then, and let's go to Julio. And we mentioned him a little bit already. He's not getting any respect definitely in dynasty leagues. He is going off the board way late as the wide receiver 22 in terms of but for a 32-year-old, that's probably that's about where he should be, right? I mean, Daryl, what's your expectations of his first year in this system? Like, is he going to be the kind of guy that can get 100 targets, or is he more looking at being that second fiddle that's in the 85, 90 range?
No, honestly, I think he's that second guy, but he's going to be an uptick over what we had with Corey Davis. I really believe that. Of course, as long as he's healthy. It's the A.J. Brown show when it comes to the passing game. They just need Julio, A.J. Ferguson, they need those two to step up in those roles so teams can't double team. And then, Henry, of course, he's going to get what he gets because, he's the king. He's just the beast. I mean, but that's the whole thing. Like I said a minute ago, a lot of people were scared when you're rolling into the season with A.J. Brown, Josh Reynolds. I like Josh Reynolds as a third wide receiver. A huge upgrade over what we've had at wide receiver third, fourth role. I love that. Love that. But as a number two, no. So I think it was imperative. They had to make a move somewhere, whether it was a Zach Ertz or a Julio Jones. Tennessee had to make that impact move, trade, free agency pick, whatever it was. And I think they got it right with Julio because I think Julio's still got a lot left in the tank. I think people still fear him, despite the injuries. What was it, last year or the year before? He was hurt quite a bit, and the Falcons still run him out there on the field knowing he was hurt, and teams still had to respect him because of what he could do. Just that little bit of fear, I think that will help. And if he's healthy, which seems to be he is, I can imagine that A.J. Brown won't jump off the table. But as far as Julio, I think he's putting up, he can put up tier 2 numbers.
Short, good question comes in here from Alex and ask, what should I trade to get Julio Jones? When it comes to dynasty leagues, what would be a fair trade for you to add Julio Jones to your team?
If you're a competing team,
I'm probably the wrong person to ask, considering I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask because I think he's going to pull a hamstring by week 3. So, for me personally, what I would give up to get Julio Jones is no more than a second right now. I think that's for an aging wide receiver. I do think he's elite, but dynasty, no. I'm not holding. If somebody I'm taking it.
What do you think, Matty?
I think somebody in the offseason, just with the news of Julio going to Tennessee, it's going to be a hard time to buy Julio.
Yep.
Because I think somebody's going to want a first, and then as the season gets closer, look, he still is good when he played. I think I saw something like he had, let me see where I wrote it, 7 games. He had over 100 yards last year. Averaged 19 points per game in those 7 games or whatnot. So, I mean, he can still do it. That's not a bad player to buy into. I just don't know how comfortable you're going to feel paying a premium for Julio when maybe you can go for a Brandon Cooks for half the price. So something like that might be more of a move to make just with the dynasty aspect of it. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable trading a first, which I think is the price range.
Yeah, man, if you're trying to get Julio, I'm kind of with Matt Daddy. People are going to ask high for him. I'm not in on that. First, let's face it, that's kind of ridiculous. At his age, with his concerns, he's a tier 2 wide receiver. But if you've got a pretty good receiving core for your fantasy teams and you're in a win now mode and you can get him for a late second or later, I'm probably taking that.
Would you guys be comfortable with Jones and a second for a 2022 first? Would that be enough to get a deal done if you're a competing team for Julio?
I'm trading for Julio.
You're trading your first. You think you're a competing team, so this could be the 108, 109, 112 if the way you're looking at it. Right. And I'm like, hey, I'll give you Julio in a second. Let's go ahead and get your first. It's July 5th. Let's get it done, Titan.
If I'm a contending team,
yeah,
I'll probably take that because I'm only moving back one round.
See, and that's what you got to do. That little, you got to have something, a little sprinkle on top.
That little caveat. Yeah, I got you, bro. I got you.
Well, so in a super flex league where there's enough talent where you still feel pretty good about what you're going to get in the second round, then like I think maybe it makes a little bit more sense. One QB where that second round is not going to be as fruitful, might not be quite as good. Short, jump in there. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say if I'm getting a second back, I would make that deal. I'm personally not trading for Julio. If I'm getting a second back I would get that. I want people. I don't think we're all of a sudden going to turn into a passing team. I think mentioned earlier, Corey Davis and AJ Brown absolutely benefited from being a highly efficient offense, not a high volume.
Yes.
The chance of that efficiency, sticking around, I think we're going to be just two wide receivers. I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think we're going to have two high-level wide receivers. So you have to understand what you're getting back from that. I would trade Julio away for that.
Agreed.
I love that we're going to get to find out the answer to the question, like, was it Julio Jones that had trouble finding the end zone, or was it the Falcons and Matt Ryan that had trouble getting the ball to him in the red zone? Because he did struggle with that, right? Like, and that's the one thing, I guess, if I'm an A.J. Brown guy, I'm like, okay, he's going to lead the team in targets, and hey, maybe Julio's just not going to find the end zone as much, and we know A.J. Brown can.
Yeah, but let's face it. Once you're in the red zone, inside the 20, where are they looking? Henry and Brown.
Right.
I mean, it don't get no more real than that. Henry and Brown, they're running it or they're throwing it to Brown. Now I'm sure Julio will get some targets. I'm sure that Fersker will get some targets, but inside the red zone, I don't see a whole lot changing. I think Julio is more of a guy that's going to get us to that red zone. Now, if he can break some, he'll get the occasional red zone target because of his size and strength. I like that, but he's a piece that's getting us set up, and that's where I like it.
I just love the fact that Tennessee is going to be able to stay on the field. It's not going to be a problem.
Yes.
This is a team that isn't going to just have to have their defense wear people down. You can make that first down. You don't have to be 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, and have to depend on Derrick Henry.
Right, exactly.
Let's go jump back over. I love all of the questions that are coming in about Darrington Evans. Like, he really made himself a lot of fans the other day. And Joe asked the question, what is the Darrington Evans reference about? What has he done the last couple of days? So actually nothing on the football field, but there was a little bit of controversy where Devin Bush came out and was kind of almost just saying content creators who aren't getting any more than 400 views are just bored. And
if you didn't see the cat video, he didn't do himself no favors the other day either.
He has not.
That's just, pardon my language, but that's just fucking horrible.
Darren Evans has done a lot more than Devin Bush has, that's for sure. But Evans came out and was just like, hey, I'll help you out. I'll come on a show. I'll help you. I'll be your 401st viewer. Like, he was just really, really good, I guess, to content creators.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that rose him up the ranks of a lot of us guys here. And
right here in my heart, he went to number 2. He went to number 2.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you're not following him, that is his Twitter account right there. So I went and got him. But a question came in about him. So first of all, like, if we're thinking about fading Derrick Henry based on the volume that he's had the last couple of years or his age or whatever, then Evans actually could become a little bit of a buy right now. He's going really late in drafts. Herm calls him his dynasty RB1. That might be a little dramatic.
What up, Herms?
But yeah, what's up, Herms? And then some questions about adding Julio and whether or not that's gonna hurt Darrington Evans, which I can't find that question. Oh yeah, is Darrington Evans still a sleeper after the Julio trade? Ryan asked. But let's just talk about Darrington Evans and what role he could have. Like if Henry is healthy and fine and everything looks good, do you expect Evans to have much of a role at all, Maddie?
This is a guy who had third-round draft capital, Sunbelt Player of the Year a couple years, first team. He has potential.
Yes,
he
sir.
did it in college, but
Yes, sir.
it is what kind of role do you have behind Derrick Henry? He's a bell cow back,
Right.
and that's what's worked. Why change it? You saw the problems they had when it was DeMarco Murray and Derrick Henry, and they would just rotate them back and forth, I believe it was, and it just didn't work. So to me, yeah, he could kind of have that Dion Lewis role, but to me, he is still one of those handcuffs. He's going to be a guy, gives you a breather, but unless something bad happens to Henry, we're not going to be able to see it. But at 5'10", 210 pounds, guy can move. He's a good player.
You probably looked into him a pretty good bit, Hollywood, for the Draft magazine last year. What are your thoughts on Evans as a prospect, and if he does get the opportunity to carry the load for the Titans, if something, God forbid, did happen to Derrick Henry, what kind of player would we be looking at? Where would we be ranking him on a week-to-week basis?
Well, he's a completely different player than what Henry is. Like Matt Daddy said, Henry is a bell cow. Not that Evans isn't, but he's more of that third down back, receiving back, but has a lot of the characteristics that you like for a lead back. He just doesn't have the size because he's so much smaller. The stiff arms and shit that we see is just unreal from Henry. Arrington, I really like because I think with Julio, those are the two. They're picking up the slack from Ferguson and Davis. So I think you're going to see a lot of Arrington. You're going to see a lot of more two-back sets from Tennessee, maybe, with Arrington being that receiving option out in the flat, that type of stuff. I think as far as giving Henry a rest or a spell, a breather, if you will, I think Arrington's probably the most capable back we've had in the last few years. We've had Deontay Foreman. We've had, oh, God, help me.
Dion Lewis was there.
Yeah, Dion. Well, he's what they wanted Dion Lewis to be. Yeah. They wanted
Not Corey Dillon.
Not Corey Dillon. They wanted Dion Lewis to be this role, and he just couldn't handle it. So I think Arrington Evans, I think he's that guy. Is he going to eat into what Henry does a lot? Not enough to make a difference, maybe in the passing game, but I like what he brings overall.
Short, what any other thoughts here on the running backs and what we can expect out of Darrington Evans this season? Or, if you think, he's almost free in leagues right now.
I'd have to pass. Personally, yeah, it's easy to say Derrick Henry is getting a lot of work. He's getting run in the ground, but he's not getting hit like other backs are getting hit. He's not getting wore down like other backs are. I really take a lot of person. I think it's easy to say also Jonnu's gone, so those targets are going to be up for grabs. But I think the Titans were comfortable letting him go because Fersker was so efficient, and Fersker was better than people to admit. So I don't think really there's going to be a lot of target grabs from that position. You got addition of Julio, Josh. People forget about Josh. I don't think there's going to be a lot more targets up for grabs for somebody like Darrington Evans. Darrington Evans go. I take Chase Edmonds on that side all day. The type of
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I thought I was about to get bit. Live stream, baby. Cal, was that you barking at me again?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, Maddie. That was, that comes out of me every now and then when I get excited. Maddie, Is there anybody else? So, like, whether it's Ferkser, whether it's Josh Reynolds, whether it's any one of these, there's a couple of guys that just came in through the draft. Like, we could talk about Dez Fitzpatrick. We can talk about the guy with the greatest Tennessee Titan name possible, and Racey McMath. Like, any of these guys, these other weapons. Like, are you interested in any of them?
I think what Third was saying about Ferkser is interesting because he did play in the slot quite a bit last year. So you take a quarterback, like I said, the play action king in Tannehill, and you put Ferkser, who's shown he's athletic enough to play the receiver position, put him at tight end, and just, like I said, take it off the top. It's something you're getting Ferkser probably as like tight end 20 or something, not paying for the guy. So this is a guy maybe that might just be a hot buy.
What do you think, Hollywood? Any of those guys, whether it's Ferkser, Reynolds, Racey, any of those guys interesting to you?
If you're talking fantasy, I think it's Josh Reynolds. For a long time, he was brought in early, considered the number 2. As a number 3 option, I like him. He's an upgrade over what we've had with some of the guys we've had in the past. I think he's a better option there. So if you're getting him as your 3rd or 4th guy, yeah, I like him there.
I want to talk about Anthony Ferkser for a second because, like, I think it does say something when the tight end coach is the one that got promoted to the offensive coordinator role, and they lose Jonnu, but he's comfortable enough saying, like, let's not go after any other tight end. Let's leave Anthony Ferkser in that role. Does that, like, Maddie, does that tell you he's got, like, some confidence in that guy? Like, maybe as the tight end 25 in Dynasty right now, I mean, he's 26 years old, like, that might be like a real, like, go after and get him kind of guy.
Dude, I think everybody's kind of taken the pause button since the Julio news. Everybody's kind of forgot about Josh Reynolds, forgot about Ferkser, Darrington Evans, all these other side pieces that could still be good because Julio could get hurt. That's we're being, as a Titans crew, we're looking at the positive. But Julio could get hurt in camp. And then it's the Ferkser. It's the Josh Reynolds show right again. So, yeah, if you're playing Dynasty, there's no Jonnu Smith. And you saw how much Ferkser played last year. It wasn't a myth. This guy is a player. It's just getting into that tight end 1 threshold. So, yeah, I'm taking a stab. What did you say, tight end 25? Good Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
As a Titan fan, you should be mounting up, baby.
On DLF ADP, he's going off the board as the tight end 25.
Ferkser is.
Ferkser is, yeah.
Oh, hell.
If
you can get Ferkser at tight end 25 for your fantasy teams, that's a fucking steal, dude.
Even Josh Reynolds,
that's a steal.
That's Julio's handcuff, just in case.
That's a low-end tight end 2, early tight end 3, depending on how many teams you got.
He's going after Blake Jarwin, after Jared Cook.
No way.
Well, no way should he be doing that. Short, let me ask you this. Like, let's switch over to the quarterback. And, like, if these weapons are going to be any good, it should mean good things for Ryan Tannehill. You got to feel like he added something to what he was doing last year, in which he had a really good season. What do you think, with Ryan Tannehill? What are your expectations for him coming up this season and beyond?
Yeah, I think Tannehill's by far the biggest beneficiary of this offseason. I think he's probably, of all quarterbacks, he's going to take the biggest jump. He's already highly efficient. He's already dialed into this offense, and now he's got, plenty of weapons. I don't personally think he's losing a lot with Jonnu. I'm a big Jonnu fan. I just think Ferkser is underrated, and I think he's going to, be Tannehill's safety blanket that he needs. And I think I'm actually drafting in Scott Fishbowl. I'm 1 pick away from taking Tannehill right now. And I'm happy with it. Like, I'm so happy with somebody like Tannehill as my QB1 in Scott Fishbowl. And, he's that you can feel comfortable skipping a couple rounds, waiting on quarterback, and then taking, because I think he's going to be there for years to come. He's going to be a reliable option.
What's up, Nate? Nate in the house.
Especially in something like Scott Fish.
Sorry. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay there, but
Ka.
yeah, definitely appreciate your insight there on that short, no doubt. Interesting question from Eric. Is there a fear with the loss of Arthur Smith at OC? Interesting. Arthur Smith was Matt LaFleur's tight end coach, got promoted into the role, and now the guy that just got promoted up into offensive coordinator, whose name just Todd Downing, just got promoted up in there. He was a tight end coach. So nice little tight end coach, offensive coordinator factory going on there in Tennessee. Maddie, Ryan Tannehill, what are your expectations for him this year? He went at 201 in my Scott Fish draft today.
I think Tannehill's the one that you got to be the most excited for that, because you are getting this mixture Dowling's bringing. He has that experience with having to pass the ball with the Raiders. The Raiders were never good enough to rely on the run, but he saw what worked in Tennessee with Arthur Smith. So this is almost like you get the best of both worlds. If he's passing it too much, you go back to running it. I think if anything, this is just kind of molding that clay where he knows how to run an offense, which might help him as it goes down the road.
100%. Hollywood, let's I think we've pretty much like talked about all the players here. Is there anything else on the Titans that you want to talk about on the defense? I know you pay a lot of attention to that side of the ball, so feel free. Anything on the defensive side that you want to touch on in Tennessee?
Yeah, so if you play IDP, if you're crazy as heck like me, you like that IDP side in fantasy leagues, Jeffrey Simmons, he's a D-tackle one guy. He's a guy you're wanting to target. Of course, Kevin Byard at safety back there. If you're looking for a sleeper at safety, Amani Hooker. And I can't stress this enough, how important Amani Hooker is going to be. He played well enough in those big nickel 3 safety sets last year that Tennessee let Kenny Vaccaro go. And I know contract was an issue, but they saw enough from Amani Hooker to make that an issue. We'll roll with him. So I think that's a guy as a sleeper at safety you can look at. Christian Fulton, he's going to have to step up this year. As far as the rookies, Elijah Molden, love him. I think that's a good pick for if you're playing in fantasy, especially for the Titans. So at linebacker, Jalen Brown, he's back on a 1-year deal. He wanted to test the market. Unfortunately, he had the injury, and I think that hurt him, because if he's not hurt with the elbow, I don't think he comes back this year. I really don't. He kind of hung out there for a while. Tennessee brought him back, and I think that pays big dividends for the Titans. And I think that pays big dividends for him, because I think he's going to want to prove himself. So Rashawn Evans, that's another one a lot of people have been up and down on. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, rightfully so. He didn't quite produce the way they thought he would. So, in these contract years, a lot of times you see these players step up. If you have him, I like it. If you don't, he might be a cheap buy for you for your fantasy teams. Anytime, a team don't pick up your 5th-year option, you're looking to kind of prove yourself, with Rashawn Evans, LVE, those type of guys. So that's just a few of the players I'm looking at defensively.
Love it. Last question, short. We'll start down there with you. The Tennessee Titans this year, they're in 2021. Their record is what?
Oh, somebody else go, because I got to think for a second.
Fun. Yeah, I was actually looking at their schedule earlier. I don't know about predicting an exact record, but I was looking at their schedule earlier, and I guess I'm a bit of a Debbie Downer with the Titans right now, because I feel like we didn't do anything to really improve our defense. And if you look at our schedule, we're facing a lot of high-level offenses right now. Seattle, we got the Rams, we got the Chiefs. I think the Colts have improved a lot personally. Obviously, the Texans haven't, but the Jaguars theoretically should be much better. I think we took advantage of a weak division last year. So I really, I'm really hesitant that we would do better than we did last year. I think we're going to lose a couple more last year, but I don't know. I'm going to defer to somebody else for that one.
Maddie, record. What do you think?
Come on, Maddie.
I got this. Colts, I'm not a fan of Wentz. I don't believe in it.
Mm.
You got the Texans. Who knows? Nobody wants a piece of that. Jaguars, we still got to see it. I think it's going to be sexy eventually, but not just yet. They went 11-5 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go 12-4. It's the Titans. Tighten up, man. Have faith in this team. This
Okay,
is an
so
offense
then-
that's improved
Yes, sir.
and a defense that's being molded. We're not losing to the Ravens this year.
No.
Remember, there's one extra game. So is it 12
Oh, yeah,
12
there
and
is.
5 or 13 and 4?
Let's go 13. I'm feeling it now.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hollywood, what's your prediction?
Yeah, Matt, that has got me fired up, and I'm with him on this. I think we're going to be 13-4, 12-5.
Love it.
I don't want to say that we've not improved defensively
I can see 13-4.
because we've got Bud Dupree, who is a much better pass rusher than who we've had or what we've got. You know, Harold Landry's been our best, but from what I can see and what I've been watching on tape, Bud Dupree's the guy. You know, he's going to help us. He's going to help Landry be better. So I love that. And one that nobody's talking about, and F the Colts, we stole Danico Autry from them. He's a dude. He's a dude up front. And you know what? Go back a couple years. Everybody said Simmons dropped off last year. Well, we didn't have Jarrell Casey. You know, we traded Jarrell Casey away for basically pennies, and everybody was up in arms. But what did he do last year? Not a damn thing. Sorry, Kevin. Pardon the language.
Okay.
No, you got me fired up. But now you get Danico. You get Danico. Yeah, exactly. You get Danico Autry in here, and I think at this stage he's better than what Casey could give us. So you putting him with Simmons, I like that. You got two formidable up front guys. You got Dupree. You got Landry on the outside. You got Jayon Brown. Yeah, you got
That's a
Jay.
good
Oh yeah,
defense.
oh yeah. We just need those corners to hold up. That's where it's going to be.
All right. So with that, I think that helps us preview the Titans. I think we learned a lot about Julio. We learned how he's going to fit in this offense. We learned about Derrick Henry, our favorite player now, Darrington Evans, and Anthony Ferkser, who I think if I take anything out of this, like I think Anthony Ferkser is a buy. Go out and get that guy, and he could be a steal late in your draft. So for short, for Hollywood, for Maddie, make sure you're checking these guys out. Go follow them. Honestly, like some of the best follows like in social media. They do tremendous work on their podcasts, on their live shows, and just great people in the community. Short, like I love everything that you're doing and working on. Another just fantastic person in the fantasy community that I'm glad you're a part of. So make sure you're following those guys. Let's as we continue to go on. Couple things, like if you're watching this, follow us over like Dynasty Vipers. I'm gonna be over there. We're gonna have Adam Mazer on. That go check that out, and we're gonna be on the Potathon later as well. So that's coming up at 11 Eastern. So for these guys, for Dynasty League Football, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you like the video.